new2rocks here, and we are going to talk about this truck. As you can tell, I've got an Axial SCX10 II sitting right in front of me. For those of you that have been following my build thread on RC Crawler, you'll know that I wasn't planning on jumping into the SCX10 II world quite this quickly, but I was fortunate enough to have this kit drop into my lap on what seemed like the first day they were shipping, maybe the day after they shipped, and the next thing you know, I was knee-deep in a build, and here we are. Had a chance to get it out for a nice long run yesterday, had it out for about 3 hours, and thought this would be a good time to give this rig a review and get some action videos up for you all to see. So let's go ahead and get started. What's new with the SCX10 II? Well, first of all, we've got to give Axial big time hats off for what they've done with this. When they were planning the update to the SCX10, they could have just swapped out the plastic links for metal links, swapped out some of the gears in the transmission, the plastic gears for hardened steel gears, swapped out the ring and pinion for hardened steel, thrown in some CVDs, and called it a day. But they did not do that. They really put a lot of time and thought into this, designed all new axles, designed an all new transmission, and reconfigured the layout of the components in the truck, and it really shows. The other thing they get major props for is releasing this in kit version only at launch. 2 thumbs up for kits. I absolutely love building kits, and they really did the right thing by introducing this kit first. So thank you, Axial. So let's talk about what's new with this truck. Got a lot of details in my build thread. I'm not going to cover all of them. We'll certainly cover the highlights. The first thing you notice with this is the body. The body looks absolutely fantastic. This Jeep Cherokee XJ, they really got the proportions spot on. It's a terrific looking truck. Lots of nice details. They've got this nice roof rack. They've got the front bumper that accepts a winch. They've got a molded hard plastic grill. I'll show you this beautiful grill. And the back bumper with a trailer hitch. So they've really, they got the proportions just absolutely spot on for this truck. They've done a great job. So I think this looks awesome. I think it's the best looking body that they have released on an SCX10, and it's really fantastic. So once we take the body off, there's also lots of stuff to like underneath. The biggest highlights, as we know, are the new axles and the new transmission. So these new axles, the first thing you notice is the pumpkins are much smaller than the outgoing axles, and the reason for that is they were able to reduce the size of the ring and pinion gear. The pinion has an offset mount above the center line of the axle, which helps the pinion angle, also helps ground clearance a little bit. So that's a nice little feature. And they come standard with universals, which is great, no more dog bones. And those universals provide 45 degrees of steering. That's almost Ascender territory. The Ascender comes with 50 degrees, but 45 is a big improvement over stock. And then the transmission, which you can see here, also all new, uses all hardened steel gears. It's a little bit big, and most of that room is set aside for the 2-speed option, which is not available yet at the time of this video, but we hear is going to be coming sometime soon. So in the meantime, you've got an all hardened steel transmission and lots of lovely surface detailing in the transmission case. It has a captured transfer case for that added element of scale realism, and also to lower the drive shaft, and again improve the drive shaft angles where the drive shafts connect to the transfer case. So those are the 2 biggest new things. The rails are virtually identical, save for the addition of a couple of holes for some additional mounting options. On the old SCX10, adjusting your wheelbase was a product of moving your link lengths front and rear. With this new design, the way that it's set up stock out of the box, there's not a lot of room to do much with the front axle, but you got plenty of room to adjust the wheelbase out back. This particular truck is running basically box stock except for two things. The first is I did actually lengthen the wheelbase up front by about 4 millimeters because I wanted to locate the front axle a little bit further forward relative to the wheel well opening stock, and I think it came out looking really nice the way it is, but I'm basically out of room to move that front axle up here. So if I were going to do anything, if I wanted a longer wheelbase body, that would have to come out back. The other modification, if you will, on this one are these GCM Deep Dish beadlock wheels, which look absolutely fantastic. This is not running vented at the moment. I did not vent the tires, and the wheels are not vented, so that's a little bit different. I think the stock glue-on wheels have vents already molded into them. But otherwise, the tires, the foams, the shocks, the shock oil, everything else, the springs, everything else that you see is box stock. And it really, really works. So while my buddy Nick from Helios RC was busy designing our first round of parts for the SCX10 II, slaving away, I got a chance to get this thing out yesterday for a really nice extended run, some trails, some rocks, and we'll include some video of that at the end of this video, and I'll also put together a separate run video from that outing as well. And what I can say is this thing really works well. It really, really works well. The work that Axial has done with rearranging the components so that you can fit a nice big battery stick up front over the front axles, and the transmission and motor sitting in the center of the vehicle and nice and low, it really shows up. This thing has great balance. It side hills very, very well. It can handle very steep pitches, inclines. Tried out a few. The only thing that let it down was the traction on the tires, which aren't broken in yet and not vented. Was not as good as some other tires that I have. I suspect that will improve with some break-in, and probably would improve with some different foams and some venting. But in any event, the weight distribution of the truck allowed it to handle steep inclines very well. Same thing with steep descents. Took it down a couple of steep descents, and it really held itself planted very nicely. Did not seem to want to tumble over end, which was nice. The suspension is very compliant, but at the same time keeps the truck very stable. So you've got plenty of, a lot of people like to talk about flex, but you don't have too much. And so what that does is really lets you get over and around obstacles, but at the same time, this thing stays really nice and stable and predictable. So performance was really, really good. I had not had a chance to do any testing of it before I went out, other than just 2 or 3 minutes on the garage floor. So the fact that it made it through 3 hours without even the slightest hint of a problem was terrific. Nothing broke, nothing came close to breaking. I'm running some big power in this truck. I've got the Holmes Hobbies Stubby 3300 kV sensor brushless motor on 3S. This motor is an absolute beast, but at the low end, especially with an exponential throttle curve, which I set through CastleLink on the Holmes Hobbies Trailmaster BLE ESC, the low speed throttle control is very, very good. You'll also see that in the video. Really nice low end control, but a lot of power, and the truck had absolutely no problem handling that. Running a little bit over 270 ounce-inch steering servo, the RC 4-wheel drive, a twister, ultimate high performance waterproof servo, and that performs really, really nicely in this truck. Also, that 270 ounce-inches seems just about right for a 1.9. I've run that servo in multiple other rigs and have been really happy with it. So overall, the performance was really, really good. So the big question on most people's minds is, how does it compare to the outgoing SCX10 and how does it compare to the Ascender? Let's take the first one because it's really an easy comparison. Such a huge improvement over the old SCX10. Purely from a performance and durability perspective, it's in a different league from the stock outgoing SCX10. Compared to the Ascender, not quite as simple a story. The Ascender also comes with all aluminum links. It comes with all hardened training gears. It comes with a hardened steel ring gear. The pinion is not hardened steel, but it's very durable. So from a durability perspective, the two trucks are very comparable. From a performance perspective, the shocks on the SCX10 II are definitely better than the shocks on the Ascender. The flip side is that the Ascender has a little bit more steering out of its CVDs than the SCX10 II gets in stock configuration out of its universals. So a little more steering from the Ascender. I think this is going to end up being like the classic Ford versus Chevy, Jeep versus Toyota debates. The Ford folks will be passionate about why their Fords are better than Chevys and vice versa. Same thing with Jeeps and Toyotas. And I think here the Axial fans are going to find lots of things to love here and reasons to think that this is the better truck, and the Ascender fans are going to look at their Ascenders and find lots of things to love about their Ascenders. And the reality is that they are both great trucks. They're both great starting points for a build, whether you want to run them box stock or upgrade them and modify them. At the moment, funny as this sounds, the Ascender has a lot more aftermarket support than the SCX10 II does, but we know that's going to change very quickly. We know long before the aftermarket steps in and has lots of cool offerings specific to the SCX10 II. So really, as between this and the Ascender, I think you cannot go wrong either way. You probably would have fun having both in your fleet. I've got a couple of Ascenders and really enjoy them, and this is a great truck, and really glad to see what Axial has done with this. So what's next for this one? A few things. I've got a few more things to add to the outside of the body. The black window seals and a few more stickers and accoutrements. And then at that point, one of the things I want to explore is flipping that transmission around. The scale junkies have pointed out, as I have, that the tranny is facing backwards, which may work well for the weight distribution and the way they had packaged everything else, but I'd like to see that get flipped around. Nick and I are working on our first round of Helios RC modifications for the SCX10 II. We'll have some stuff to test within the next couple of weeks and then for release, and so those will be making their way onto this truck. And the good folks at GCM up in Canada are surely going to be working on some cool stuff for the SCX10. They're the ones who've come up with the forward motor conversion for the SCX10 and for the Ascender, and that's a terrific piece of kit. And I'm sure they'll have some really cool stuff in store for this truck, and when they do, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And in the meantime, the other thing that I want to do is I want to get an interior into this. Until somebody comes out with an XJ specific interior, the dinky RC Universal 3D interior may be the way to go. And I'm going to also just enjoy running this thing because it drives really nicely. So there you have it. That's my initial take on this all-new Axial SCX10 II. I'm going to leave you with some more video from the first run. Please be sure to check out the build thread on RC Crawler. I've included a link in the description below, and check out our other YouTube videos. Thanks for watching.